And happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. We are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes, but if you would like to get on the, hold on a minute. What did I do? Hold on a minute. Oh, Lord. There we go. That's better. If you would like to get on the list for today, the list, as always, is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I do not read for across these apps. Those are pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. If you get on the list today, you will be the second person read for. You'll be the first person read for once we complete the daily collective read. We do have privilege here, so anyone who got on the list before we got started today will be the first person read for. We've got 1 person on the list so far. And we're doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes, so make sure that you're tapping that screen. We will get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is going to be a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning today's daily collective read, I will be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you'd like to find those full readings, you can find them over on the place where we keep the videos. You can find them over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find them over as a podcast on iSpot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. But before we begin today, first and foremost, most important question, how are we doing today? Scale of 1 to 10. It's full moon o'clock. We're coming out of eclipse season. A lot of emotionality right now, but I want to describe, I think a lot of the work that we potentially see and we're working through right now with this eclipse season is very, very helpful. It is having a different impact depending on whether you align to masculine, feminine, or non-binary energy. Bearing in mind this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. I like to describe what we're seeing right now as the ability to heal Aries energy. I've been talking about this for the last few days. I feel like there's a misconception. I think that there's often a misconception that we hold when it comes to Aries energy and Aries placements, and that's specifically in the space of imagining and seeing Aries as warlike, right? Warlike is volatile. Warlike is seeking, right? Seeking strife is what we identify as warlike. And the truth is, when we look at the context of strength, we are effectively able to recognize that things that are warlike are often more performative when it comes to strength, right? And what we often ascribe, what we often see with the positive qualities that we identify within Aries energy, those are very much more in the space of what we would identify as a warrior, right? Something that is protective, something that has the quality of strength. And when we effectively recognize that, when we really think about the difference between a warlike energy and warrior energy, we see the difference between, right, the provocation, right, the show of provocation, the force that is often necessary to express that isn't necessarily true, right? Versus the quality of true strength, which is often articulated by one's own sense of restraint. And we often see this. We often see this with those who go through Aries placements, right? The journey of Aries coming through the pathwork of feeling like one has to prove oneself to others versus the space of stability that we find in relationality to proving things to ourselves. This is potentially having a different impact. And I think that in a way it's really beautiful, because when we think about that quality, and the reason I'm describing this right now is we're coming out of a very curious eclipse cycle, right? One of the things was curious about this eclipse cycle was the fact that it couldn't necessarily be seen everywhere, right? It was what I was describing it as an occluded eclipse, because the totality point was all the way like far off in the nether reaches of Antarctica, right? It's not really something that we can observe. But this is also what we recognize happens when we're able to effectively face our energetic feelings, right? This is often something that we try to find in meditation and contemplation. Why we often see that spiritual journeys talk about that need to rest. And the restive state that we create within ourselves is not feeling the emotions and trying to get away from them, but the ability of being able to fully understand them, that allows us to be able to kind of put our force of intention towards things in a way that helps us identify and recognize our own feeling of energetic comfortability. Now, this is having, and we're going to continue to see this to a certain extent, because you have to remember, we've got a lot of, I just wrote a whole article about this over on the Stack. We've got a lot of planets that are about to move into Aries, right? We already had Saturn and Neptune that pushed into it in that way, right? A lot of the work that we navigate in the realm of our emotions and in the realm of our dreams. But it talks towards us, right? What do we effectively identify when it comes to that work, right? The sense of proportionality and the intention by which we effectively move things forward, right? It doesn't require us to effectively rush processes. It doesn't require us to effectively try to like, it really is a lot of that energy that we speak towards, that talks about the difference between, right, a steady pace, right, versus the feeling of energetically racing through things. So if you're going through this right now, and again, because I know, and especially I feel like this energy might be most difficult for those who carry a lot of Piscean placements. And we saw that a lot of this that was happening the last time we had a lot of planets like exiting out of Pisces into Aries. Make sure, the best way I can describe the energy right now is leading with emotions does not mean that one is energetically reactive when one is working to understand the emotions, right? It builds into the stabilization point that we often experience, as it relates to our own sense of presence. That's also why you may be noticing that this same energy, right? If you're doing your shadow work properly, right? Which again, I always say that shadow work is like a spooky word for the contemplation point of being able to navigate one's own feelings of self-doubt, one's own aversions, right? The part of the self that asks us to move deeper into the sense of space. I feel like this can be a very grounding time. It can be a very expansive time. It can also be a very profound time. I would also say at the same time that we navigate these eclipse cycles. It's not the fact that you can't lead with the emotions, but the volatility that we often feel in relationality to, like doing something too quickly versus the ability to feel what one feels and then feel fortified in the feeling. This is exactly the type of work that we often recognize during eclipse processes, right? It works us into that deepening, it works us into the deepening pursuit of our energetic logic and reason. And in that way, I feel like the balancing point that we kind of had with this eclipse, which is what I was saying I like so much about it, is going through a Pisces season with a Virgo full moon, because there's a quality to that that often feels counterintuitive, right? When you think about Pisces and Virgo, right? Like Pisces is often navigating the flow. Virgo is often working through pathwork of precision. But what do you get when you effectively apply that combination? You get comprehension, right? You get comprehensive perspectives on things, which means it's not necessarily taking the same, it's not taking the same tactic in every situation, but being able to effectively see something and apply, right? Applying the energetic effort as needed, right? Sometimes the ability to go large, sometimes the ability to go small, right? It's that kind of comprehension that allows us to kind of find what could be identified as elegant. And so there is something about this energy right now that's very elegant. Now, it is having a different impact depending on whether you connect to masculine, feminine, or non-binary energy, bearing in mind that this is not based on gender, but what one feels most aligned to. And we're going to start right now with masculine energy, because I want to just describe what I see is happening there. For a lot of the masculine energy that is potentially moving through a healing journey right now, I want to describe that this could be feeling like a mortifying time. And why am I defining it as a mortifying time? Because let's look at the derivation of the word mortar, right? It's working into where we start. And the hard part about the fact that this may be feeling like a mortifying time is when you're working to heal something that feels like it's behind you. It often can feel frustrating because the desire to change something is there, but all you have is the present to work with, right? It can sometimes feel energetically overwhelming, right? That ability or that reactivity in terms of feeling the frustration in the things that cannot be changed, not allowing, right? Not allowing the past to overrun the possibility of the present, right? And this is what we talk about in relationality, and we often see this, right? We often see this when we're going through Aries lessons, right? Because what happens, right? What happens when you're working through over perseverating on the past? What happens when you get overly focused on looking backwards? It makes it harder to stay focused in the present, right? So I feel like, but at the same time, one has to have that sense of orientation, right? The ability of understanding the present in the context of the past. So that is effectively what was coming through a lot in yesterday's reading, working into, right, the ability to work into the framework of understanding and like looking at the past as orientation, but not hyperfixation, is the best way I can describe it, right? Like the ability to effectively look at the past with a sense of clarity, to be able to take things from it, to be able to effectively apply into present circumstances. So I feel like for a lot of the energy and working through the frustration of how much harder it becomes when it feels like you're on that journey and not everybody is coming along with you, right? The feeling of almost feeling like the space by which you have to effectively carry a lot of that work, because it's the personal burden, right? And this is what we talk about in the space of holding something in a space of esteem. This is what we talk about when we talk about integrity. This is what we talk about when we talk about energetic respect, right? It's not performative. It's not something that we do in the context of display. It's something that we feel deeply within ourselves, and working through those energetic hurdles, right? Working through a lot of those burdens, it sometimes can feel it sometimes can feel very solitary. But even in the space by which one feels solitary, doing that work, the work I need to articulate upon that is solitary is solemn, right? It's the same derivation. So it talks about how blessed that is, but and how important that work is, but often how it feels, right? How it feels even more integral in the face of energy that does not seem to care about something in the same degree, right? Like, how could you not care about things that are energetically important? So at the same time, for feminine energy, we see a lot of the feminine, and this is, again, this is the healing of the Aries energy, because it's the reminder between the difference of performative strength, right? The strength that is effectively weak, that tries to show off how strong one is, versus the energetic strength that happens when one is truly strong. Because what happens when one is truly strong? When one is truly strong, one acts as steward of that strength. It's working into the context of feeling the strength that we steward, right? We're conscientious with it. We're careful, right? That's what you see. That's often what you see. That's often what you see with energy that's truly strong. They're not trying to go around and be like, ah. It's a lot of that again, like I said, Pisces in Virgo, right? The gentle approaches that allow the space of mass expansion. Now, for feminine energy, I'll put it this way. There are modalities by which I sometimes read, and the energy's in alignment. It's different. It's different right now. And what we're effectively seeing is this is a lot of the feminine energy working through the context of rigor, right? And what do we often see with rigor? It's not easy, right? It often feels like you're pushing it often feels like you're like pushing a stone up a hill, right? It's like, that monumental effort that it takes to help things move the way that one aspires them to go, right? And that's a lot of, like, that's often what we feel, right? That's often what we feel when we're coming out of Pisces into Aries, right? Like the modality by which there's a lot energetically happening, and you don't allow the overwhelm, right? You don't allow the overwhelm to overwhelm the self, but you find the internal steadiness to effectively carry, right? And this is what's beautiful about Pisces in Virgo, right? It's working through the rush and not allowing oneself to feel energetically rushed. It's working into that space of steady calibration. And what's beautiful about that is when we find that within, we are a blessing to everybody without, right? Because it's that sense of energetic. Pisces in Virgo talks about the work of presence. And the work of presence is effectively allowing the ability to feel energetically proportional upon things, right? It's the ability that we're able to, it's the extra reserve, right? It's the extra reserve that we often are able to create within ourselves, even as, right, even as there's a lot going on that creates that sense of steadiness in everything that we find. And it's not easy, right? It takes a lot of patience. And most importantly, it takes a lot of patience within the self, right? And that's what's beautiful. This is why we have to give ourselves compassion. Because what happens when you give yourself compassion? When you start giving yourself compassion, you get very generous with that compassion. It's a gift that you start extolling to everyone around you, right? The compassion that you give yourself is expressed to others in a similar fashion. And that's when we become it's when we become each other's benefactor of patience, right? It's the space by which we're able to effectively identify and recognize, and giving each other that sense of stability even as we work to accomplish the impossible. So we see that for a lot of the energy, that ability of being articulate and specific about things, right? Working into the emotions that carry with them easy directions, right? It's like looking at something and saying, like, look how easy it can be. Like, look how easy it can be. Like, look how easy it can be when we find the harmony. Now, but it's not easy, right? It's like it's easy, but it's not. It takes all of the effort necessary in order to facilitate that level of easement. Now, that brings us to the non-binary energy. And what we were effectively seeing, and I want to point this out because there was something really intriguing that was happening in yesterday's spread. And if you want to take a look at that spread, you just need to head over to my stack. I've got it posted there with yesterday's podcast. But the one thing that we identify specifically in yesterday's spread was there was a profundity of Fool card in its reversal. And Fool card in its reversal is often a card that I associate with healthy Aries journeys. It's working through the recognition of what happens when we identify vulnerability as the gift, when we understand that vulnerability is not a weakness but a strength, because it's a continuation of recognizing that when we aspire to heal relationships, when we truly aspire to heal relationships, we have to get into the business of building a better relationship with our vulnerability. Because the quality by which you are able to feel comfortable in your vulnerability is expressly and directly how well you do in relationship, right? And you can't have too much and you can't have too little. It's got to be just right, which is the observation of the vulnerability that we see and we recognize as precious, right? Something that we hold on to and we work to effectively protect. Because when we become protective of our vulnerability, right, then we're not we're not giving that vulnerability to everybody, right? We're not constantly in a space of vulnerability, right? Simultaneously and similarly, we're also in the space by which we hold it with a sense of care. Like this is what we mean by inner child healing. And when we're effectively able to do that, when we recognize that vulnerability is the priority, then it changes the context in terms of how we carry it within ourselves. We don't hate it when we find it within ourselves. We hold it carefully, because that's the beautiful thing about it. You can find vulnerability is one of the highest qualities, because once you have it, right? Once you lose it, it's very hard to find again, right? And often the space we arrive here with it, right? We arrive here in that state of energetic innocence. So when we look at that in that way, when we hold on to that carefully, then it becomes, right? It becomes the gift that we share with each other. And so we see that for a lot of the energy, having to work through experiences by which their own healing journeys are such that they never necessarily potentially chose to go on one, right? Like that's often what happens with some experiences. But one feels, right? Like one felt the sense of having to arrive to be able to protect the part that they care about, right? This is a lot of the journey that works through the observation of what happens when others throw their hate on us, right? Because what happens when another throws their hate on us? All you see when another throws their hate on you is the self-loathing that they carry for themselves, right? Imagine the amount of self-loathing that you must have, that when you see vulnerability, right, your first feeling is a desire to quash it, or your first feeling is the desire to feel the need to energetically suppress it, right? And this is why we often recognize the full force of projection, because often the energy that is articulating upon the fact that they themselves feel like they are in danger are the dangerous ones, because they are the energy that's own hate for their vulnerability, sees vulnerability and feels threatened by others' ability to be comfortable within it. So that's why we see that that's a lot of the energy that becomes very impassioned and very protective, but also very conscientious in relationality to clarifying the difference, right? And this is why we talk about the fact that all feelings are not alike, right? We do not need to be respective of each other's feelings if there is not logic attached to our emotions, because the ego, right? What does the ego like to do? The ego likes to effectively work, like the ego, when the ego is healthy, it works to make sure it checks itself constantly, right? Like that's the truth of it. When the ego is healthy, it checks itself constantly. But when an ego is unhealthy, it'll constantly say to the self, you are in danger. You are in danger. We need to do this because you are in danger. And in the act of that happening, you become the danger to everyone around the self. So this is why we can't navigate the space of holding all emotions the same, because the way that we recognize the emotions that are logical and reasonable are the emotions that help us understand why we feel them in the first place. And the sad truth of it is the higher self and the ego, they're all attached to the same alarm system within the self, right? They can all ring that bell. And the ability to effectively, and this is what we talk about, we must know where we dwell to understand who rings that bell within us, right? It's not just enough to be able to work through the observation of feelings, but being able to follow the feelings to where they lead is how we become the safety net for ourselves and those around the self, because we're working to understand the self, which makes us, again, each other's greatest protectors, because we're protecting ourselves first and foremost through the understanding and recognition of who we are, who we aspire to be, and what effectively concerns us, right? We don't just react upon the feelings. We work to understand them, to be able to apply the effort that is necessary, either to quell them or either, and sometimes, yes, to dispel them. Now, that is where we find all of the energy prior to beginning today's daily collective read. But if you'd like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find them over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also you can also find them as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on Stack. I would also encourage you to head over to my Stack to learn more about our next tarot class, which will be being held on Thursday, March 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be focusing our studies on the court cards in the cup suit. If you're interested in taking part in that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my Stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my Stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid monthly subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library Class Archive. It's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning that next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a complimentary one-on-one. You also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my Stack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of readings, but you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class system, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule, as well as my mystic meditation articles, which will give you updates on everything we've been seeing in the cards. I just wrote one recently on navigating this full moon energy we're currently experiencing. You can find it over there as well. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings. Again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journal, on your personal schedule, not journal. We'll get to journal in a minute. I'm also very happy to offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase a series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. That said, let me know in the comments how this energy is impacting you personally. These eclipse cycles, they're amplifiers. So everybody's going to be having it's going to have a different experience depending on your alignment and also depending on your own astrological placements. So just go ahead and leave in the comments how you're feeling through it. That said, we are going to get started on today's daily collective read. If you would like to get on the list for today, the list is open. I will stress the list today is going to be very short. So if you would like to secure a spot on the list today, I would strongly encourage that you get on sooner rather than later. I will only be taking a few individuals for personal readings today. That said, if you get on the list right now, you will be the first person read for once we complete the daily collective read. Anyone who gets on the list for a read the day before always has first privilege. So we have one reading that will be done before we get started on today's daily collective read. How are you doing today, Angelina? Thank you for joining us. How are you doing today, Ash? Welcome, Siobhan. Thank you for those likes. Hi there, big country. Did you get to see it? Oh, I'm so glad. Absolutely. It's beautiful. And thank you so much for sharing the live, dear. Good to see you as well, Jen. And thank you for liking the live. Always appreciate when you guys like the live. So if not in Aries, well, you know, the question that you say, move on, right? That's what we effectively require a reading for. What are you effectively holding on to? It is like why it's important and what one should do. There, like I said, it's not going to be, we don't navigate yes no approaches in tarot. We work to effectively understand the nature of circumstances or situations in order to move through things in the best way that we're able. Absolutely. And thank you, Jen, for those likes. I deeply appreciate you. Hope you're having a beautiful start to your day. Thank you as well, Red, for those gifts. Welcome. How are you doing today, Lillian and JK? Thank you for the follow. Grand Rising, Ella. Oh, I'm so glad to see you, dear. Self-care time. Listen, I do think that it's very, like, this is a good time to be working through self-care as well as self-expansion, right? It's like, it really is, it's like the walking and chewing gum, right? Like, it's not having to choose, it's being able to kind of move through both. Dashans, again, like, sure thing. I'm very aware that Yeshua loves us. But I would ask you to not just continue to post the same thing in the chat space. It's not courteous to those who are trying to communicate. Thank you. And again, that's going to be your final warning, because again, and also like the writing in all caps is a little unnecessary. Thank you. Yep, Maleficent, thank you as well. Happy lunar eclipse, Alexandra. How are you doing today, Anjali? You're the first person on the list today. Alicia, thank you for the follow. I feel more in control of things. Well, that's good, right? It's good if you're, do you have a lot of Aries placements right now? I'm going to tell you, like this eclipse right now, and I will point this out. I feel, and this is just to go to show you that different planets going into retrograde does not always articulate upon catastrophe. Like I actually feel like Mercury in retrograde right now is actually being energetically beneficial because we often experience a lot of that rushed approach when it comes to doing things that often happens during eclipse cycles. So Mercury, right? Like I like to point out Mercury going into retrograde during an eclipse like this is almost like downshifting in a good way, if that makes sense, Val. Yeah, I was wondering if I could stay. No, you could. No, you're absolutely. You're the first one on the list here. Looking back and forward, exactly, Alexandra. It's retrospective, right? It's a retrospective time. Alicia, thank you for the follow, and thank you for reposting, Ella. I appreciate you. And thank you, Alicia. Absolutely. Singing and chewing gum, that seems dangerous. That seems like something's going to fly out of your mouth. I don't know if you can sing and chew gum. Is that possible? Yeah, I mean, walking and chewing gum. Grand Rising Row. You went into my chart. You have a lot of Aries. I'm not so, listen, I'm not, I'm like, listen, I'm not so worried. I'm not so worried about my babies with a lot of Aries placements right now. I'm not so worried. Again, it's not the word. It is not the Aries placements that I am worried about at this moment. I'm a little bit concerned for those with Piscean placements. Okay. I'm a little bit concerned with those with Cancer placements. This type of like, I want to describe, this is not, this is not the time to be taking fear-based approaches to things. Like it's not. I'm ready. I'm ready. Exactly. That's the that's Aries. Like that's Aries energy. Like the thing with like that's the thing about it. Like if you've got a lot of Aries placements, you know, it's more like and those who like those who've got a good Aries in their life is like you don't try someone with an Aries placement. You know, it's just it's not wise. Like so, it's not wise, right? It's working through, right? Like and those with it, what I'm talking about, Satya. You know what I'm talking about. Like Libra placement, Libra stelliums as well. You know, right? It's like it's a lot of that. It's a lot of that work, and I like to point this out. You often see this, right? Like and this is why like you don't mistake kindness for weakness in Aries energy because they had to work really hard to find that kindness. They had to work really hard to find that patience, right? They hold it very preciously because they understand how important it is. And so I feel like in that way, it's fortifying, right? It's hard, but it's fortifying because it allows one the ability to effectively take grounded approaches to things and the relief, the blessing that we become for each other when we understand, when we maintain and have that type of quality, right? It's just it's working through things in the best way possible. If you're not doing like if you come into the season and you haven't done your shadow work effectively, then yeah, right? It's probably feeling really polarizing, but it's working through, right? The polarity that we often experience outside of the self is something that we build to integrate within, right? It's the observation of being able to identify what's important. So hold on, just reading over Ella. Aries Sun and Pisces Venus here. Yeah, and like Pisces, like I told you, where your Pisces placements are right now, you might like wherever you carry Pisces placements, potentially be ready for some abandonment wounds coming up, right? Because, and we often see this when we've got a lot of planets moving out of Pisces into Aries, right? The quality and nature of the fact that things change is a gift. But sometimes, right? Like sometimes we have a lot of feelings as we're working through the fact that things are changing. So make sure that you're navigating that with a sense of proportion and compassion. Came in with a vengeance last night. Not completely surprised due to the current energy. Well, you know that like you know what I was you know what I'm going to say with like vengeance, right? We want to effectively we want to make sure that if we're moving through emotions, we are articulating upon the emotions in a way by which the emotions have wise directions attached to them, right? It's just working through that. Oh my gosh, she was in your dream last night? Ooh, that's intriguing. Well, if you want to do a dream interpretation, I'm never opposed. Oh, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Oh, that's wonderful. And bon compleanno, Ella. Emotions are directed towards me. I get it. Absolutely. All right. As I mentioned, friends, we are going to get started on today's Daily Collective in the next few minutes. If you would like to get on the list for today, the list is open. As I mentioned, it is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I do not read for across these apps, pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. For those who are joining us across the other apps, you can also get on the list today via my tree that has links in it in my bio. We do hear highest priority messages from spirit, life path, mediumship, dream interpretation, angelic guidance, animal spirit guide readings, pet readings, akashic, and mind, body, spirit. If you have information that is relevant for the purposes of our reading, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channel. That said, we do have one individual who is on the list from yesterday, and whoever gets on the list yesterday always has first privilege in being read today. So that will be Angelique. Angelique, if you could let me know if you would like a general reading, or if you have a specific question you would like me to answer. And in the meantime, if you want to get on the list for today, the list is open. I will reaffirm the list is going to be very short today. So if you want to get on the list and claim a spot, making sure that you get read today, please do so sooner rather than later. Ooh, super excited. Got it. Thank you for letting me know that you sent me the information. I'll pull it up now. Absolutely. Oh, that's so exciting. No problem, dear. Oh, geez. I'm sad to hear that, dear. Okay. Let's see. All right, bear with me one moment. I'm just going to pull up your question now. Okay. Okay. All right, so it looks like, somebody just got on the list. Thank you, Alexandra. I've got you on the list too. You will be the first person read for after the collective. You will also have an additional card in your reading. And before we continue right now, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I mean, For Angela, you can't keep on picking different animals. One animal per person. This is not a menagerie. These are not menagerie rules here. It's an intuition check. It's an intuition check. That means one animal. One animal. All right. Hi there, Nicole. How are you doing? It's okay. I was thinking, that was close. All right, we're going to get started. And as I mentioned, Angeli got on yesterday, so Angeli has privilege today. Once we complete Angeli's reading, we're going to get started on the Daily Collective. So if you're sticking around for that, please hang tight. We're doing an energetic read on an individual to find out what's going on. Can I please get 4 cards, please? Highest priority messages. Oop, 3. Yeah, I've got it. And 1 more. Yep. Oh, yeah, I don't even, okay, thank you. So if it's any consolation, I don't see anything here about someone avoiding you. I don't know. I feel like I see somebody working through overwhelm. I see a lot of energy around someone. I see a lot of moving pieces. I see a lot of things happening. And I feel like a lot of the work that we're identifying there has to do, and it's interesting too, because I feel like I see somebody that wants to spend time with you, but I keep on hearing you have to be refreshed to have quality time, is what I keep on getting. So it's almost giving me, like, it's giving me it's almost giving me the feeling of someone who created plans. They were like I keep on hearing, like, the plans in the morning that by the time we get to the end of the day feel like we've run out of battery to a certain extent. Like, I feel like that's the situation I'm seeing around somebody. I literally see somebody who was working through the concept of the energy by which they made like a determination, but then having gone through, right, having gone, like, I don't know if there's something about the coming to see you after something, right, and being like, not, I keep on hearing, like, completely out of spoons, if you know what that means, which is the feeling like wanting to effectively make sure, like, I keep on seeing, like, I feel like they recognize that when they see you, it's not just going to be a drop-off situation, right? It doesn't feel like the type of energy by which another person inclined to swing by, right? And I keep on getting that was what's effectively happening there, right? It's not the fact that they're avoiding you, but the fact that they were, like, looking at a situation by which they wanted to spend time with you, but they were feeling the exhaustion in relationality to not having the energetic bandwidth to be able to effectively talk about something. And I wouldn't be surprised, like, if like, one of the ways that you'll be able to identify that this was the case, if the next time they effectively articulate that, they either don't have work the next day or they come to you before they start, is what I keep on seeing. Like, those are going to be your qualities of confirmation in relationality to that being the case. So like I said, I don't want you to get too in your head. Like, it's literally not saying to me, like, I want to say everything that I keep seeing here has nothing to do with not wanting to meet with you, but I keep on hearing it's going to be a strong and long conversation, right? Like, literally, I just keep on seeing that them understanding and wanting it to be a strong and long conversation is the space by which I feel like there's a lot that they want to convey, right? But they want to make sure. I almost see them, like, I feel like I almost see somebody prepping for a conversation with you, almost like one would prepare for a race, right? They're like, I need to make, like, I keep on seeing them, so like, they're like, I need to be hydrated. I need to have had a good night's sleep. I need to make sure my head's on straight. Like it's a lot of, that's what I'm seeing. So don't get too frustrated, because I keep on seeing this is not an avoidance situation. This is a quality. This is a quality over, it's a quality over, over timing situation, if that makes sense, right? Like I see somebody that almost says like better to wait and make sure that I'm in the right headspace than to effectively rush through something. And in the rushing, right? Like in the rushing, feel like something feels like, I keep on hearing they don't want, it doesn't feel, like they want to, it doesn't feel like they want to rush by, is the best way that I can describe this. Because it does feel like I've got, like, the thing about it is like, it's interesting too, because like as I'm reading, like my hand wants to go like this, which is the space by which I almost see somebody. They have a lot of things that they want to say to you, or a lot of things that they want to talk about, is what I keep on seeing. So I know it's frustrating, right? But if it's any consolation, everything I'm seeing in these cards, like I'll just show you here, like this is how they feel like it would have been if they were first coming towards you. You see how rushed that is, right? Like in and out, like here you go, I gotta go kind of thing, versus what they're effectively hoping to achieve, right? Which is identifying and recognizing, like, do you see that? Being like let's talk about what's working or what's not. Like I almost feel like something has happened by which they feel like they can be more candid with you about what's been going on. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, we've got the like lot to talk about. A lot to talk. There's that four of Pentacles. You know, I feel like, you know, and I keep on seeing like there's like it's saying to me, I don't know why, I feel like somebody's done with something, you know, like I feel like I feel like your exit from something has helped propel another person's decision, is what I keep on seeing, you know. So I feel like if anything, like that's what I mean. It's almost saying to me, like I keep wondering, they're savoring a reason to have an opportunity to speak with you, is what I keep on hearing. They're savoring a reason to have an opportunity to speak to you, which is the space by which, and thing about it is when we savor reasons, right? We don't feel we don't feel like we have to rush them, right? I literally see someone saying, you know, better to see them in a space by which I don't feel like I'm moving through things, right? The ability of someone wanting to spend time when they see you, which is why I keep on seeing if they keep moving it, right? It's not it, I know it might feel to you like they're avoiding it, but I keep on hearing they're savoring the reason, which says they're not avoiding it. They're trying to find a space by which they feel energetically ready to be able to be present for it, if that makes sense, right? And because that's the truth. And I gotta stress, like, especially with this eclipse energy right now, right? Like the feeling of going through a lot of emotions, right? There's a lot happening, but being able to just navigate things with a sense of proportionality. I feel like I almost see somebody going through something also outside of work that is emotional. And I keep on hearing them saying like they want to be in the right headspace when they talk to you, right? Because there's a lot to say. Thank you. And one of the other things I'm seeing, yeah, because again, I just cut the deck one more time on this. Like that's further confirmed with that. Like it's like I literally see somebody like going down, like almost like going through the checklist of all of the things that they want to address with you, right? In relationality to, like, I literally see someone saying, I can finally tell you what's going on, right? Like it's a little bit like that. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a few minutes to read over the comments that came through as I was reading. All right. And thank you for those roses, Rainbow. Good to see you today. Guys, please remember to recharge your heart me's if you are a super fan who would like a 1-card reading on top of your 1 card. I mean, if you would like an animal spirit guide card on top of your 1-card reading. Hi there. How you doing today, Jesse? Hold on a moment. And Nebel, thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. It's okay. I was thinking of a hawk that's close. There are a lot of birds in that deck, Anti. She had lots of intuitions. Yeah. It was the raven. Yep. When it's all the animals you put today. It was a raven. Yeah, I hope you all enjoyed it. Absolutely. Oh, thank you. Bon compleanno, Rainbow. Good to see you today. Grand Rising, Jesse. Yes, spoon theory. So I think the plan is to do that before. Yeah, okay, thank you. See what I meant? The plan is to do it before work or on a day she isn't working. So if that's what they articulated, let that be the confirmation on what I'm saying. It's not that they're trying to avoid it. It feels to me like they want to be fortified to have the conversation with you that they're aspiring to. Hi there. How you doing, empath? I'm glad she does want to spend time with me because I've been missing her. That's sweet. And thank you for those gifts, Rainbow. Adam, thank you for the heart me's. I think that it feels, I don't know why, but it feels like a clean slate moment. It feels like someone saying there's been a lot I've wanted to tell you that I haven't been inclined to say, right? And something about a change that now allows them to speak more candidly to you about things. Yes, forward. Now that, like, it definitely feels like somebody who wants to talk about like how the nature of your relationship is changing. Yes, exactly. I mean, I want to stress this, like the fact that somebody's leaving ample room to talk with you feels to me like someone who like wants, like they want that, like they want to move into understanding what, like I see somebody saying like, what do we do now kind of energy. Yep, absolutely. I hope that helps, dear. Continue to do that work. I know being focused right now with energy like this is difficult. Focus, just like look at your like focus on your to-do list, right? One thing at a time. You're so welcome, Nebel. All right, we're going to get started on the Daily Collective. As I mentioned, if you'd like to get on the list right now, absolutely lovely time to get on the list. List will be very short today. I'm maybe only taking 1 or 2 more people on today's list. So if you want to secure a spot for a reading spot today, please do so sooner rather than later. You'll be the second person read for. 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers, being semi-lio. Please keep in mind there are 2 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Before we get started on today's Daily Collective read, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. I'm going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got a hind. We'll do that again after the next reading. And just a reminder to those who are joining us across the other apps, if you'd like to get on the list, you can do so via my tree that is being sent in my bio. We are doing here highest priority messages from spirit, life path, mediumship, dream interpretation, angelic guidance, animal spirit guide readings, pet readings, akashic, and mind, body, spirit. If you have information that you feel is necessary or relevant for the purposes of our reading, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber-only Disco channel in the appropriate channels. Oh, Gigi, it's absolutely okay. And like I said, we are about to get started on the free collective. You can also get on the list with the gift of a baby dragon, if that helps as well. Absolutely. And it's okay. You do not, and I need to stress this, you do not need to send for a reading in order to be here for one. We're about to get started on the free collective for those who can't afford a free reading. Thank you, Rainbow, for those gifts. I appreciate you. Oh, okay. I like it, Rainbow. See that I like to hear. That's some good stuff right there. All right, my friends, if you guys could do me a favor and share this live, I would appreciate it. Make sure anybody who would like to catch this reading live is here to receive it. That said, no better time than the present. And also, please remember, my friends, we've got 2 different giveaways happening right now. The first giveaway is a free reading for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway. And the other giveaway we're doing today is a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. We're already at 10.6, my friends. Thank you so much for tapping that screen. We'll get to 50K in no time. And if you are a member over on the place where we keep the videos, you are also entitled for the discounts of the subscribers as well as a free 1 card each day. That said, no better time than the present. Why don't we get started? Welcome, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. We are going to be starting our day with a harmonic energy update. Can I please have the first 2 cards in our 5-card spread for today? First 2 cards we are starting our day off with today is the Page of Swords in its reversal in combination with the Lover's card in its reversal. Let's talk a little bit about this energy because, and here's the thing about it. I like working through a Virgo full moon and Pisces season. I like a Virgo full moon and Pisces season. And I also like a Virgo full moon and Pisces season during an eclipse season like the one that we are navigating now. Because, and this is the thing that you have to recognize, and this is often, like, I like to explain this from the perspective by which I often experience eclipse cycles energetically. This is why eclipses are not, I don't like the term chaotic associated with eclipses. I feel the better word for it is unpredictable. Chaotic can indicate like everything going like completely nonsensical. But the thing is, eclipses are amplifiers, right? They just energetically amplify the energy that we're currently experiencing in the moment that we're going through the eclipse process. I like to describe it as like someone taking the amp and just cranking it all the way up, right? Which is why if you're going through a discordant moment and we go through an eclipse process, yeah, it can feel like a lot, of things are happening. But it can also feel healthy, right? It can feel empowering. And there's a few different things, right, that are happening, particularly in this eclipse process, that will potentially feel like if you're taking mature directions right now, then I imagine that this eclipse is one that potentially feels very cathartic and grounding, right? Like it's building into the context of recognizing what it is that we're working towards. It can also feel very destabilizing if you're not in the space by which one is working through the emotions, right? This is often why, right? And this is a continuation of coming out of Aquarius season, right? Because what is often the work that we recognize when we're going through Aquarius season? There's no missing work, right? Like especially in the space of our emotions. Because what happens when what happens when you have emotions that you don't want to face? You put them into the unconscious and then they control everything, right? It's the observation that our ability to effectively navigate or to work through things helps us to build into the context of our own determination, right? And I feel like this is an eclipse that is helping us to understand what it takes to keep pace, right? And it's not, and that's also amplified, and I'm going to point this out too, right? The reason that this eclipse might not necessarily be feeling as intense as previous eclipse cycles has to do with the fact that we've got two very intriguing aspects to it. The first is the observation that this eclipse could not be perceived in its totality, right? That a lot of the work that we see that was happening leading up until this eclipse process, that solar eclipse was all the way in Antarctica, right? Which is observation of working through, right? The emotions that are hard to see. When we get quiet, we can observe things about the self that we could not see before, right? It's working through a lot of that point of the benefit of solemnity. While at the same time, we also have the fact that Mercury has moved into retrograde. Now, this is just a reaffirmation that retrograde energy isn't necessarily, by its very nature, detrimental. Because what happens when you've got an eclipse that amplifies, but then you've got a Mercury retrograde that pulls back, right? Kind of even it builds you back in it builds you back into balance, right? It gets very Libra in here, right? It's the observation of what that balance feels like or what that balance means, because, right, like it's working through the amplification that then levels off because it balances itself out. So this is what we effectively see with a lot of this energy right now. It's working through, right? It's working through that proportionality. And I would not be surprised if a lot of the work that we see that's happening, right, particularly in this, like in this lunar full moon cycle, is working on what it means in terms of taking compassionate approaches to things, right? Because what happens when we're energetically compassionate to ourselves? It's a gift that we give to everybody around us, right? It's a gift that we start giving. Now, this is having a different impact depending on where you find yourself on the frequency cycles. And we're going to start first with the energy that's in solitude, which I currently see are going through the world relationships. And I'm identifying this because they're working through a lot of the messages that we see that are translated in the world card of the tarot. These are effectively the relationships or the work that's been happening since the Capricorn new moon cycle that we experienced on January 18th up until the present. Now, center card for today's spread. We have here the 10 of Cups in its reversal. Now, this is working through a lot of the energy that we see here is working through. I want to describe, and I like to point this out. This is what we effectively see when we're not trying to energetically avoid things, right? And I want to be very conscientious because, and this is what I like about some of these relationships or the work that we see that's happening right now, right? There is not a desire to put a happy face on things, right? And it's also working through the fact that spirituality, right? Spirituality is not just about putting a happy face on things all the time, right? Like that is not what healthy spirituality means. The ability to look at things and say that is not okay, right? The observation of being able to take qualitative approaches in understanding the nature of what is important, right? Being able to effectively identify and articulate what stresses or what vexes us is often the shape by which we can make things better, right? And it requires that force of effort. It requires that ability to be able to effectively identify and articulate exactly why we feel energetically frustrated about things. So we see that for a lot of the energy, doing that work, building into, right? Like these are not energies that are coming towards each other sugarcoating anything, right? No sugarcoating. But that's what's nice about it, because this is the energy that's like working through even the fact, right? Even the fact that they're coming into partnership, or they're working into the space of the work that they're doing, right? In solitude, right? I would not be surprised if this is the energy that says that they're focusing on their purpose in order to find their person, right? And why is this energy saying that they're focusing on their purpose in order to find their purpose? I mean, their person. Because if these are relationships, like if these are and I like this because this is almost like a recentering that's happening for some energy in solitude, right? Like the identification that relationship shouldn't feel like side quest energy, right? Like it shouldn't feel like side quest energy. It shouldn't feel like it requires you to move away from your purpose, but closer towards it, right? Like this is what it means. Like this is what it like that's what alignment means, right? The observation, right? The observation of being able to work through something that feels like it's energetically harmonious, right? And so I see that that's a lot. It's interesting. I got to see where Libra is right now, because I feel like that's a lot of the energy either in solitude, working to striving to seek a healthy balance in order to find relationship, right? They're recognizing how vital that work is, as well as new relationships that are coming together. And how are they coming together? They're talking about how not ideal things are, right? They're actually talking about the impact, right? The space by which it's frustrating, right? How difficult it is to try to focus on relationship in the context of all of the things that are energetically not ideal, right? And this is almost the energy that says, in order for us to have a relationship, we have to get focused on healing the world. It's like the energy. I literally see some energy going like, you know, like this awfulness is really affecting the ability to focus on partnership, isn't it? Right? Like it's like it's almost like the energy that's looking at it and saying like this is not like I keep on hearing the energy say like, I keep on hearing those who are in healthy relationship don't make these choices, right? Like those who are in healthy relationship don't make unloving choices is all I keep on hearing, which is the space by which we literally, I know, like this is funny because it's almost like the energy that says like, I know we say like all you need is love, but literally like seriously, like you need love. Like you need love, like you need love. Like have you tried love? Have you tried love yet? Is what I keep on seeing. And this is bringing us to, right? This is moving us into, and I feel like, but this is what I mean. Like I literally see, and this is what I keep on hearing, like the energy that's almost working towards, right? This is what I almost see the energy saying. Like when we don't feel inclined to love, that's when we love even harder, right? Like that is literally, I see this energy that almost is moving through something with a sense of purpose, because I can see the energy almost saying to each other, in the midst of all of this, I'm not going to allow, right? I'm not going to allow anything to decenter the value of the love that we create, right? It's very convenient, right? It's very convenient to try to leave that by the wayside, but the space by which another feels energetically inclined to that is why I see that this energy is almost saying to themselves in solitude, right? Oh, looks like I guess I'm gonna have to love harder now, right? It's like when another tries to move that away, right? Then we build into, right, like we allow that context of our love to energetically show, right? Now this brings us into the energy that's moving deeper into divine union, and those are effectively the relationships that were coming together between the Capricorn new moon, and from the Capricorn new moon up until the time that Uranus first station retrograde, which was around September 6th, that these were the relationships that were coming together while we were focusing on the messages that we often see associated with the moon card of the tarot. Can I get 2 cards to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the 7 of Wands in its upright in combination with our 4 of Cups in its reversal. So one thing I'm seeing that's happening right now for a lot of this energy that is moving deeper into divine union, it's a very bittersweet time. There is a huge amount of healing that's happening right now. And I need to stress this because this is really important. It was taking me a while. As they were coming together, I was having the hardest time trying to figure out what the heck was going on with those moon relationships. I was literally like, it was, even as a reader, because it was a moon card, I was befuddled. It was very hard to see what was taking so much time for those energies to come together. And I finally have the clarity on it on the other side of it, which is observing that these partnerships are profoundly purpose-driven partnerships, right? And the hard part is they have experienced integrity wounds, but they did not recognize that they were integrity wounds as they were happening. Why did they not recognize that they were integrity wounds? Because these are relationships by which the energy that was coming together had resigned themselves to the fact that their purpose was preventing partnership. They had straight up just resigned themselves to it. They said, I guess it's not in the cards for me, because they had decided after relationship and relationship by which another person, right? By which another person said that the same thing that attracted them to them, right? Oh, I love your purpose. Oh, your purpose is becoming a problem, right? Literally having to go through relationships where someone said, I love your purpose. I love your purpose. Your purpose is really getting in the way of our connection, right? The observation of them having had those moments by which, right, like I can see them say, like, me and my purpose, away we go again, right? Like working away into the space by which they were trying to protect their purpose, finally being in relationship where with energy that does not see the purpose as third party, but holds the purpose sacredly, holds the purpose as sacredly as they themselves do, right? They're protective of each other's purpose. They're respective of it. And what that's effectively happening is they're recognizing and they're waking up to the observation that everything that they experienced prior to that was a lack of integrity in relationship. Why was it a lack of integrity in relationship? Because a lack of integrity in relationship is when our yeses don't stay yeses and our no's don't stay no's. So the modality by which they recognize the integrity wound that they'd experienced in past relationship, that they can only see now that they're in a relationship with energy that maintains the integrity, is working through a lot of emotions coming up and then immediately being clarified, right? It's like the emotions that rise up, immediately okay. The emotions that rise up, immediately okay, right? It's like I keep on getting, it's like a lot of fast healing, because just as they're awakening and understanding it, it's okay because they found the stability of the relationship that allows them the ability to see it correctly. So there may be a lot of feelings, right? A lot of feelings that are coming up, right? but the feelings are coming up so they can heal, right? Feelings coming up, healing just as quickly. Now this brings us to the temperance relationships. And the temperance relationships were effectively the relationships that were coming together between the time of Uranus stationing retrograde, so around September 6th of this year, up until the solstice period that we had over the summer, which was around June 21st. Clarification between the Page of Swords in its reversal and the Lover's card in its reversal. Four of Wands, Four of Swords. And we like this Four of Swords energy here because I keep on seeing catharsis and concentration. Because the catharsis and concentration, the ability to effectively work through things, but not just the ability to work through things, not feeling, right? I see a lot of this energy that's healing by saying, and their work, I told you the healing of the Aries energy, and what is effectively the summation of the healing of the Aries energy, right? What does the healed energy say? The healed Aries energy says that the healed Aries energy only competes with one person. There's only one person on this whole earth that healed Aries energy competes with. And who is that? It's the person they were yesterday, right? Like that is literally the healing that comes into the energy of the Aries, right? The observation, right? The healthy competition with the self. The healthiest competition that you will ever face is the competition with the self that says, what can we do today to surpass the self? What can we do today? I am here once again to conquer the self by conquering the person I was yesterday, right? It is the energy that is effectively, I keep on hearing that the healthy competition that isn't directed in any direction beyond this way, right? It's the inward journey that says, how can I exceed, right? How can I exceed that person, right? And that is the space by which we become, right? That is the journey, like that is the true journey of a warrior, right? And this is the difference, right? Working into it. Remember I said this is the energy that is healing the Aries placements, because, right, what is unhealthy Aries energy? It's comparison, right? It's the energy that feels that you have to hurt someone in order to heal, right? It's the energy that effectively makes one feel that one has to be hard on the self, right? Like that false preposition, right? That false preposition that trauma often dictates that says, I'm doing this and you'll thank me for it later. We never thank anybody. You ever notice that? You will never thank anybody in all of human experience that says you'll thank me for this later. No, that's them. Like that's them working out some trauma that they haven't resolved within themselves, right? That's literally the sound of someone projecting when they see the quality by which they're hurting you. And then they say, they'll thank me for this later. That never happens. That's literally the sound of someone projecting, right? Like, but well, how do you heal the Aries energy, right? What will the person tomorrow say to you? Like the person tomorrow will thank you for this, right? The modality by which we don't project our harm on the past self. We build into the context of the future one, right? The ability of saying, like, I'm looking out for that person. I'm looking out for that care. And so we see that for a lot of the energy, kind of working through those modalities or working through those experiences, that quality, right? I keep on hearing taking gentle approaches to their own excellence, right? The ability of effectively, I keep on hearing like the gentle carving of grooves into like the self that allows the ability to effectively identify and recognize what you're working to change, right? And this is what we talk about, right? The change that we find, the change that is profound is often incremental, right? Because the reason we articulate that the change that we find that is profound is often incremental, right? Because you can't go through rapid change processes, because then it feels like you're trying to, like, it often create, when you go through a rapid change, it often creates the feeling like you don't recognize the self. But when you're working through incremental change, right, you become retrospective, and your retrospective becomes sacred, right? The sacral retrospective of incremental progress that allows one to feel energetically blessed as one works towards it. So we see that that's a lot of the energy that's giving themselves, right? They're giving that to each other, but they're also giving that to one another as they continue to grow together. Now, let's continue back into the energy that's in solitude, moving into clarification between that Lover's card in its reversal and the Ten of Cups in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Ten of Pentacles in its reversal. Now, I want to stress this because we've got double 10 cards right now, right? We've got double 10 cards, and they're both in their reversals. Okay? We've got the 10 of Pentacles in its reversal, and we've also got the 10 of Cups in its reversal. Now, when we look at those together, right, it can often create the space of despair, right? But this is the important thing that we understand. What we despair on, we can breathe life into, right? Because the nature of our despair is where we apply care, right? It is the work that we effectively facilitate that articulates what something energetically means to us. So I see, right? And I literally see energy that is working through their despair, right? They're working through the context of their despair, but they're not allowing, right? They're not allowing that despair to get the better of them, right? Because, right, what does the force of trauma say? Shouldn't you be despairing more, right? Like that is literally like that is literally, right? That is literally the sound of trauma, right? What does trauma say? How can you have joy at a time like this, right? How can you have joy at a time like this? And this is why we often say in the face of trauma, we will be even more joyful, right? And that doesn't mean, right? That doesn't mean that joy does not carry grief with it, right? But often the space by which we can move our grief into finding joy is amplified on the level of care that we create for each other, right? Like that is literally the transformation of what we are able to do in the force of navigating circumstances that feel energetically oppressive to our own sense of joy. It's not, and be conscientious of this, right? I can literally see energy that's working through situations by which other energy, right? Like that, I keep on hearing that tutting, right? Trauma creates pain and then says, shouldn't you get serious right now? Right? Right? That's what trauma does. Trauma creates pain and then says, why are you laughing? Right? Why are you like, I'll take that joy from you. So the ability to effectively not allow the trauma to take our joy is the most beautiful, blessed act of energetic resistance that we give to everything. Because it is not, right? It is not the joy, right? It's not the joy of ignorance. It's not the joy of a non-observation. It is the joy that we bring to things by which we find, right? The joy that we bring to things by which we're able to navigate through the energetic, like, overwhelm that we often experience in relationality to another, trying to, like, the trauma that often makes us feel energetically stifled or repressed. So we see that that's a lot of the energy that is working through that in a way, right? That their joy feels energetically beneficial to those around the self, right? It's the outward expression that allows the space of being able to articulate upon energetic interference, right? And so I feel like that is a lot of the energy that is almost working through, right? It's almost articulating upon the joy that is becoming the priority, but it's the joy that's becoming the priority, because when we prioritize joy, then we prioritize the importance of being able to energetically protect the vulnerability that it requires in order to create joy in the first place. Now this brings us to the energy that is moving deeper into divine union, and those are effectively, again, moving back into those moon relationships. Clarification between the 10 of Cups in its reversal and the 7 of Wands in its upright. A lot of feelings coming up here for these moon relationships. Can I please get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now. Yep, there's the Four of Pentacles, man. And here's the thing about it, right? This is why it was taking those moon relationships so long to get together, because I just keep on seeing that a lot, and it was taking me a while when I was reading into them. That those relationships took like 4 months to come together, and they were coming together really slowly, and now they're not. But the reason is, right, and I'm going to tell you right now, there may be some energy right now that's going through. Like, I want to say, like, there might be an element of surprise in relationality to how quickly some of those energies are moving into union, and this is why. Okay, because if these are situations by which the energy was working through, right, they were working through the delicacy of having to navigate the trauma, of working towards their purpose and doing nothing, right, and literally having to explain to another person and say what happened in that past relationship, and them literally saying it was going fine, but alas, I had purpose, right? And the space by which another person, the same thing, right? The purpose that I keep on hearing, the purpose that gravitated until it aggravated, right? The purpose that gravitated until it aggravated. So the space by which another person would try to come towards someone, and they would articulate the fact that they love that about someone until they recognized what it felt like on the daily to actually be in the experience of maintaining, right, the work that it takes to maintain that level of purpose, is the energy that has worked. Like I keep on hearing, they were resistant of coming into partnership because they'd had their purpose damaged by relationship with that articulated that lacked integrity. And why does a relationship lack integrity? It's when our yeses don't stay yeses, or our no's don't stay no's. So this is why the energy, they're finally coming into an integrated relationship. And the reason it's integrated is because the relationship has integrity, which means that when they articulate something, they energetically mean it. And the space by which they mean it is allowing them to heal. But the healing is coming through the observation of where the integrity was lacking now that they have found it. So a lot of emotions coming up, a lot of big feelings coming up in the past, but then immediately clearing because they found the energetic stability point by which they can perceive what was happening. So a lot of emotions, but it's okay. It's like how the energy going, a lot happening, but they're okay, even though there's a lot of feelings coming up, or potentially their perception of the past that is profoundly changing. Now, this is bringing us back to the energy that's deep within divine union. Clarification between the 7 of Wands in combination with the 4 of Cups in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the 5 of Swords in its upright. So what are we effectively seeing? What are we effectively seeing with that Five of Swords energy? There's a lot of that work, and this is working through the energy that's deep within divine union, right? Observing and recognizing and identifying, right? And this is what's beautiful about that. There's a lot of relationships that we effectively see that are working through the space by which they themselves are energetically concentrating, right? I keep on here concentrating and prioritizing in order to be energetically effective, right? And here's the thing about it that I keep on getting in relationality to the energy that's working through that, because these temperance relationships identify that everything is possible so long as the work is mutual. And this is some of the energy. Remember how some of those moon relationships were finally finding the firmament of healthy relationship. But what we effectively see that's happening for a lot of those temperance relationships is this is the energy that says when you are working tenaciously and steadily, be aware of others' receptivity towards it. Because when you are energetically stable, right? When you are energetically stable and capable, then you are effectively the force of others' blessings, right? When you are stable and capable, then it allows for energetic momentum to occur. And so that's why I keep on seeing that this is a lot of the energy that is recognizing and identifying the energetic value of their momentum. Because, and this is often what happens when we are working, and this is often, I think, I see something by which the energy identifies or has had wounds in relationality to do, right? The space by which another person will often try to fault someone for being capable is often the space by which another's insecurities effectively project out onto the self, right? And so this is what's beautiful about those relationships, because they help to qualify, right? They're able to effectively energetically qualify the nature of energetically stable circumstances or situations. And I keep on hearing stability loves momentum, right? Like that's the thing that's beautiful about it, which is like when you're in a space, right? When you're in a space by which there's possibility, and here's the thing again, possible spaces delight in momentum, right? It's the space by which, it's like the space by which something is moving, and it's moving with speed, and it builds into the sense of energetic excitement. But you'll often notice, right, what happens, right? Like what happens in stifling situations or circumstances, right? Energy that stagnates, if you try to bring momentum into it, what often happens, right? You start going through the modality of another. Oh, you're like, oh, there's the limitation, right? Like, oh, there's the limitation. This can't go anywhere because it doesn't like momentum. So the ability of the energy to articulate and state, like if you're bringing energetic momentum to things, right? That momentum in itself helps qualify and identify the space that of the environment that you're in that qualifies as energetically capable. So that's a lot of the energy that is effectively working to heal in a huge way. But a lot of that is the understanding, right? It's the understanding of right environments, or it's the understanding of being able to recognize or identify, right? Recognize or identify what it feels like to be in a thriving, right? In a situation that delights in thriving, which is the space by which something energetically flourishes and grows. So there's a lot of that. I just keep on seeing there's a lot of that beauty there, because the energy isn't like the energy is working through they're working through those observations, right? And they're effectively able to, they're not, I keep wondering, they're not overly internalizing upon it. They're utilizing it to build into healthy orientation or healthy direction. continuing to get clarification, moving back into the energy in solitude, clarification between that Four of Swords in its upright in combination with the Ten of Pentacles in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Hermit card in its reversal. So what do we effectively see with the Hermit card in its reversal? And I like this, right? Because this is the energy. Remember how I said, right? Like Uranus coming out of retrograde in Taurus was very, very important. Okay, that's why we saw a shift. That's why we saw a relationship shift. And I need to point out that happened around the same time that we experienced that Capricorn new moon energy, right? And what does that effectively identify or help us recognize? Particularly and especially in the realm, particularly and especially in the realm of the self, right? It's the observation. This is the energy that doesn't feel the inclination to look for love. And that's why they're looking for it, right? I literally see the energy. Again, the alignment point. You see the alignment point that we see with the energy deep within divine union, and also the energy in solitude, right? I'm not gonna allow, right? I'm not gonna allow this stifling environment to not allow love to be centered, right? And I keep on hearing healthy centering is not allowing environment to change importance, right? And so this is the energy that articulates and says, if it feels, right? If it feels like love shouldn't be important, that's not a healthy feeling, right? That's why the energy says, I will look for love even more now. Like the energy going, I will look for love even more now. like, welcome to a lot of planets in Aries, right? Because here's the thing with Aries placements is try to tell Aries placements that they can't do something, right? Like try to tell Aries placements, be like, now's not the time. And that was the last thing they ever heard. That was the last that was the last sound. That was the last sound that person ever heard when they told an Aries, now is not the time. That's all they heard for that. That was all they heard going forward. That was the last sound they heard. This is the last sound they're gonna hear for a long time. Like there are certain things, and when you come into air, like that's Aries season right there, right? Because you have to understand, Aries come here to heal their relationship to time. Aries literally come here to heal their relationship to time. So that is why if you say to an Aries, now is not the time, they will promptly give you an education. They will promptly give you an education on what time it is. Oh, okay. They will probably give you an education on what time is. So I feel like that's what we effectively see that's worked through here, right? It's building into that context of understanding. Now, continuing to get, and I think that's why, like, I like this because that is the energy that says, right, that when we're moving towards things, right, that's the difference between desire, like that's the difference between manifestation and desire is working through inclination, right? Like manifestations is not built upon inclinations. It's what we do, right? Regardless of whether we energetically feel like it or not, right? That is the dedication we build towards our manifestation goals, right? That's why you'll often see, like that's often you see when someone's trying to move towards a manifestation, but they're only doing something when they feel energetically inclined to. It's not the same thing, right? You have to apply that sense. And I keep on hearing in different ways, right? Always in different ways, but always in profound ways, because I just keep on seeing that is the energy that appreciates, right? The consistency that we deliver to each other in the wake, right? In the wake of other circumstances or situations, right? It's just building into that sense. Like I keep on hearing, this is the energy that is building fervor into their desire for relationship. And fervor, right, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about what fervor is. But first, let's and this is where it's helpful because these moon relationships know all about fervor. Clarification coming through right now between the 10 of Pentacles in its reversal and the 4 of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification, I love it. We like, look, I want to show you something. You want to see something beautiful right now? Look at this. You see this 10 of Cups? Absolutely not. Look at that beautiful thing there, right? Stay down, get back up. That's Aries energy for you, right? When energy says go down, you go higher. And this is a continuation point of the energy that works through, right? It works through the observation. And remember when I said this is why I told you right now, like the energy, those moon relationships are they're having a perception shift. They're having a profound perceptual shift. They're having a perceptual breakthrough right now. And what is they're having a perceptual breakthrough as it relates to what was wrong with past relationship in the context of the present one. Sometimes we can only see, right? And that's a hard part. If something is missing, you can only see it when you energetically find it. And that's why what I can see this energy going through a moment where they're having eye-opening moments as it relates to what was missing in past connection. And I keep on hearing what was missing in past connection was most likely integrity, right? And what is integrity? It's when our yeses stay yeses and our no's stay no's. It's the observation and the work that we energetically do. And so I see that energy that was going through. You can imagine they were going through this whole time being like, my purpose breaks things. My purpose, just me and my purpose, alone against the world. Me and my purpose and this existence that hates the fact that we're together, right? And now they finally found a relationship by which another person also has a sense of purpose. And they're finally finding home in the relationship because the energy is not treating each other's purpose like third party. They're making room for it, right? They're growing their heart space, right? And the space by which they're realizing that they're in a relationship where there's room for both them and their purposes to coexist is allowing all of those feelings to come up. And then as the feelings come up, all of those feelings about the past immediately wiped away in the context of what they found in the present. Immediate healing moment. And it doesn't mean it's easy, right? Doesn't mean it's easy, but it is profound. Continuing to get clarification between the 4 of Pentacles in its upright and the 5 of Swords in its upright as well. Queen of Swords in its reversal. And here's the thing about it. I don't mind a Queen of Swords in its reversal here. And especially when it comes to temperance energies, because these temperance energies are very good. Here's the hard thing with these temperance energies. They're very good at pushing through things. Right? The temperance energies right now are applying softer yet harder approaches to things. Right? And why are they saying softer, not harder? Because this is the energy that recognizes, I keep on hearing, the value and force. You put force towards something and then you observe whether another person likes momentum. Right? This is what these energies are educating each other on. The observation, right? And here's the thing about it. Trauma environments often articulate a desire for change, but then immediately express and show you exactly why they cannot, right? Like literally, like the sound of it, like the reason that often energy move, the sound that you will say as you walk away from a trauma environment is, it's ridiculous. Trauma environments are literally ridiculous places because there'll be a bunch of energy sitting in a trauma environment talking about the desire for change. And then as soon as you bring change in, they'll be like, what are you doing here with all that change? And being like, you literally just said, you literally just said that you want, no, we like to talk about the change, but we don't actually like to implement it because that would allow us to heal it, right? It's very convenient, right? It's very convenient. But the ability to recognize, and this is why I keep on hearing, what does one do to recognize the difference between a healthy sanctuary and a trauma environment? Add momentum and observe and observe what occurs, right? Add momentum, because when you bring momentum into a healthy sanctuary space, it becomes an energetic blessing. It becomes the force by which energy can build upon momentum. It's the space by which energy celebrates, right? Sanctuaries celebrate momentum. It's the modality by which we move towards something and we feel the sense of change, and then we celebrate the context by which we recognize that that is occurring. But trauma spaces, right, are resistant, energetically resistant to change, right? They're in the space by which they want to change, but alas they can't, right? It's a lot of that alas energy. So we see that for a lot of the energy effectively facilitating and recognizing upon that work, that observation, right? It's not the space. Like I see the energy saying, if you're bringing effect to things, right? Don't internalize how others experience it. Be observant of it, because the ability to recognize one's own effectiveness helps one qualify the energetic resistance that one experiences as it relates to, right, the effectiveness that others would like effectively celebrate, right? And when we find others that celebrate our effectiveness, that is how we find our home, right? That is the energy that delights in each other's effectiveness, right? Versus those modalities or those experiences by which another, like the energy of effectively moving towards something and feeling, right, like working through those experiences by which we feel that we're like, you literally look, I see this energy like like in relationship being like, what is the hard part? Being like, I'm being effective, and being like, have you considered like, have you considered if the energy, like, is this, I keep wondering, is this an internal issue or is this an environmental one, right? Make sure, I keep on hearing, make sure you're bringing your effectiveness into rooms that are energetically blessing it, is what I keep on hearing. So there's something really beautiful about the nature of the healing that's happening there, but there's a lot of catharsis that's coming through those circumstances or situations. Now, this brings us into the energy in solitude, clarification between that Hermit card in its reversal and the Ace of Wands. These two cards together, right? These two cards together are absolutely wild. So can I get clarification between these two cards? Because I love to see the Hermit in its reversal with the Ace of Wands here. Yeah, it's a Judgment card in its upright. So let's talk a little bit about that Judgment card in its upright. I think that what's important, what I'm seeing right now, for a lot of that Judgment card in its upright is, and this is what's beautiful, because we see some, it's an alignment day. There's actually alignment that's occurring right now within these cards, and it has to do with recognizing, right? It's recognizing the value of a healthy ego. Okay, now let's talk about this, because I know it's sometimes difficult. Our job is not to shed the ego entirely. You need that thing. The ego is the defense mechanism of the soul. And the way you can usually tell if your ego is in check is how clearly you can see through it. Okay. A nice streamlined ego is the space by which you understand where you are applying the energetic ego, right? It's the space by which you're like, when someone, and you'll love it, because somebody will often, when someone's overly in their ego, they will say something to you that's actually a compliment, but they'll say it to you like an insult. You know, like, why are you so happy all the time? I don't know. Like, why are you always doing things? What? Like, you've had those moments, right? When when often the space, but there you were just existing with a healthy ego, but yet, but yet the observation, right, of others that often project, right, often project on what is healthy. And this is the hard part about it, right? We can't control how others receive us, but we can be very aware as to what we're bringing to things, right? And that's why it's important that when we're good with ourselves, right? Like, that's the thing about it. When you're good with yourself, if you want to actively heal, get good with yourself. Get good with your heart space. Because the thing is, you're not going to let your heart go places where it's not cared for, right? And that doesn't mean that we're careless with our hearts, but we often forgive ourselves for those moments by which we were more careless, right? The space by which we feel that we have to test our heart against things, right? The modality by which we often feel that we have to suffer, like we have to suffer others' injustices towards us to feel like we can effectively be able to energetically prove to another that we're worthy of things. And here's the thing about it. There is no healthy relationship that will ever make you feel like you need to move through a gauntlet of worthiness in order to energetically find it. And frequently, the space by which we close our heart space, and you can say to someone, right, like, why did you close your heart space there? And somebody has to say, well, because it didn't feel like it was a space by which it was respected. It felt like it was a space by which it was constantly tested, right? And so the observation of the energetic consideration that we put towards one another, right? The empathy that is expressed when we recognize that, we don't try, we observe, right? We try in the best way possible, which means we take the energetic chance, we take the risk, we put ourselves forward for things, and then we hold present within them, right? We energetically observe how that work is being appreciated. And so I feel like I see that for a lot of the energy, this is the energy that's working through, like what is happening with some of this energy in solitude. Feels like a really weird, uncomfortable time to be looking for love. But yet they persist because they understand that the quality by which they identify and center love in their experience is not going to be circumstantial or situational, right? It's not the last thing they do. It's the first thing they do. And that is them applying fervor to what they have their heart applied to, right? And the thing is with fervor has absolutely nothing to do with inclination, right? Fervor is often what we do when we know we must, even if we're not feeling particularly in the mood for it. Right? It's like, it's knowing, why do we say knowing? Fervor is knowing what one must do. It has nothing to do with the feelings, right? So that's a lot of the energy that's applying that fervor to their healing, but also to the direction by which they're moving towards in relationship. Now, continuing to get clarification between that Ace of Wands energy in combination with the Queen of Swords and its reversal, and this is moving us back into those moon relationships. One card to clarify, clarification coming through that Knight of Wands. There we go. That's what we like to see. There's that Aries vroom vroom, right? I told you the healing of the Aries energy, right? The healing of the Aries energy, right? Who gave you, like the Aries is a warrior. Aries is not warlike. Warriors are not warlike. Warriors are not warmongering, right? Warriors don't look for something to test their mettle upon because warriors carry their strength within, right? And this is why I feel like for a lot of the energy that's coming into union right now, right? The difference, and this is what's hard, with some of those energies that are coming into understanding the full capacity of what they're healing from. They're both going through, I keep on hearing they're going through an excellent relationship that's helping them witness the devastation of the past relationship. They couldn't see it before. It didn't look as bad as it was. But now they see it because they found their more. They found their more, which is the space by which they found the relationship that has room to hold both themselves and their purpose, right? There's enough room in the relationship. But now it's like they're looking back on the past and they're being like, wow, what a devastating landscape that made one feel that they had to choose, right? Because when another person is going through insecurity, right? What does an overactive ego do, right? An overactive ego feels unsafe in relationality to harmless things, right? The modality by which another person feels insecure for no other reason than seeing another person operating in a bliss state. And that's the sad truth of it, right? That recognition that often the shape of the trauma that we will experience, you will be doing nothing but following your bliss. But if another person is too much in their ego, right? If they're not concentrating on finding their own bliss, but they're still caught in the modality of comparison, right? Or holding the space by which they don't hold themselves and cherish the self, but feel like they have to constantly prove that themselves in the context of those around the self, then literally, right, bliss is not safe in a trauma environment, because someone will see someone operating in a state of bliss, and instead of saying, wow, I should do that too, they'll say, how dare you, right? And so that's a lot of the energy that's working through the recognition of the trauma that they were experiencing, that they may not even recognize was trauma at the time that it was occurring, because it was another person trying to explain to another that they were too much, right? That they were too much. Too much. It's a lot. You're too much. It's just too much. Why must you always be extra? Right? And meanwhile, there is that poor person operating and staying in a state of bliss and saying that extra that you're identifying is the self, right? There's no extra when it comes to being the self, right? The extra, I mean, again, the trauma will take a negative and turn it into a positive, right? Why is it something oppositional to bliss and being extra? Shouldn't we all be extra? Shouldn't we all be extra? Like that's that again. What will trauma will take a gift and make it sound like it's a detriment. So this is a lot of the energy coming into their excellence, right? That's the energy saying, oh, that person, right? That person that said I was extra was feeling insecure in the excellence of the self, right? Because I keep learning, as long as our extra is compassionate, our extra doesn't hurt anything. It's a gift that it's a gift that we give in a singular experience, right? Why wouldn't you always want to give a little bit more? Continuing to get clarification, final card for today's spread between our Judgment card and the Knight of Wands and its upright. We have here the Three of Swords. I'm not surprised to see it. This is a real intense center pillar today. If you're a tarot nerd, you can go ahead and you'll have the picture of the spread over on the stack if you'd like to see it. And this is bringing us into the temperance relationships. And I told you there's an alignment day right now. And I keep on hearing the alignment day is recognizing the beauty of our momentum, right? And I feel like that's often the capability and understanding that when we when we give each other the gift of momentum, right? Momentum is a gift, right? It is momentum is the gift that we deliver in terms of saying like helping something move through, right? Giving it a little bit more, right? And also like always in the space by which we do that, right? When you're in a healthy space, energy celebrates momentum, right? Momentum, it's like it creates the feeling of momentum that feels like momentum creates exaltation, which is the identification point of recognizing that when we're in a healthy space, we celebrate energetic momentum, right? Because we identify and recognize the energetic power that it creates that allows things to become exceptional. But I keep on seeing that for a lot of this energy, and I need to describe it. It may be feeling like it's hard, right? It feels like a slog right now, right? Probably we're going through, right? We're going through that eclipse cycle that often makes us feel like the effort isn't going anywhere, right? And this is the energy that almost reminds one another as they're doing that, right? Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's there. Hold faith in the power of your momentum, because that's the beautiful thing about momentum is you're often pushing on something and you're pushing on something and you're like, I don't think it's doing anything. And then the next thing you know, right, that little force, right? It just takes a little bit more. So I feel like that's a lot of the energy that says, right, every day, and that's what Aries says to us, right? Every day, a little bit further in the right direction. And the next thing you know, you look behind you and you see how far you've come. You see how far you've moved. And the observation of understanding that is often the space by which we move towards energy that simultaneously celebrates us moving through those difficult but significant journeys. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, we've got here the Six of Swords in its reversal. And the Six of Swords in its reversal is working through, and this is not a great energy right now if you're not eager to work through one's own hurdles, right? We all have our own hurdles. We never escape them. We all have our own tendencies. We all have the things that we're good at and the things that we're not good at. But here's the wild thing. Your ability to identify what you're not good at is a strong suit, right? That is one of the best strong suits you can possibly have, right? Because when you recognize that something is not a strong suit, then it allows you either the ability to improve upon it or the ability to get help with it, right? That's what's beautiful. It's beautiful. It's great. It's great. It's the observation of recognizing what doesn't work that allows something to be energetically possible. But often you'll see that with those who, like, what often happens in the context of others that work through the limiting belief, right? The limiting belief, sometimes the limiting belief isn't the limiting belief in the self, right? Sometimes the limiting belief is the space that by which you feel like you are the complete solution to things, right? Sometimes the limiting belief is not is not so much based it's not so much based on the observation of the self, but in the failure, like in the failure, right, in the inability to want to navigate, like what like the inability of not wanting to energetically face something. So the ability, and this is why we talk about, if you're ever unsure about that, have the conversation, right? Talk it through, work through the energetic hurdle. Because when we start being compassionate with ourselves, we recognize that being perfect was never the point. Who wants to be perfect? Perfect, perfect is boring, right? Unique is beautiful. And the ability to take unique approaches to things is the highest gift that we bring, because our uniqueness is our creativity, right? It's our creative signature that we bring to things. And so when we start to embrace that, beautiful things occur, but also in the modality of recognizing, right, that our uniqueness isn't for everybody. And that's a gift too, right? Because when we start holding, right, when we start holding our uniqueness as precious, we don't feel like we need to prove that uniqueness. We just feel like we have to hold it in a way by which we observe how others receive it. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a personal reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my site. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everybody who participated in our recent class on the court cards in the Sword Suite. Our next class will be Thursday, March 19th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be focusing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the Sword Suite court cards. If you would like to become a part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. And as a paid monthly subscriber, you will also have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning the next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. And you'll also have access to one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you would have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class system, as well as the opportunity of receiving a complimentary one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would still encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events as well as my online live schedule, as well as my mystic meditation articles, which give you updates on everything we've been seeing energetically in the cards. I just wrote one recently on this full moon that we're experiencing. You can find it over there now. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more consistent experience. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits. Also, for my students that are seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow. That is our daily collective read. We are going to get started on personal readings. Congratulations to Nicole. You got our highest gifter today. You will be added to the list, and the list is now closed. Thank you so much, Alexandra. You came in second, so you will have you will also have an additional card in your reading. If anybody else would care to get on the list today, you will be read for tomorrow, and you will also have first priority in reading, which means you'll be read for before the daily collective begins. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. We're also at 45K likes. When we get to 50K, I will be gifting a reading back to the collective. So make sure you're tapping that screen, and we will get to 50K in no time. I'm doing lovely today, Phoenix. How are you doing? Excellent. Oh, post it. Can you post? I don't know. I've never heard of that before. Do you want to post it over on the disco? Excellent. Understanding your feelings is not the same thing as feeling them. No, I understand. But again, we have to feel our feelings in order to understand them, right? I got all of my things to put out in the eclipse, and I slept in, and they're just sealed. Excellent. Good to see you today, Jesse. I'm doing well, Phoenix. How are you doing today? And thank you for recharging your heart me's. Guys, anyone who is a subscriber who's looking for a one-card reading, please make sure that you're recharging your heart me's. Excellent. All right. And thank you, Star, for the follow. Downloads. We like it, Gigi. So true on all levels. Thank you, Jesse. I am and he is. Thank you, dear. Libra, 7th house, path of fortune. I like that. That's good energy right now. Gigi, far out. The realization has been huge for me recently, knowing what serves us. Tap to claim. Excellent. Yes, I know. I'm on the highway. Make sure that you're being safe right now. Absolutely. Everything is energy. Yes, as a Libra, I'm calibrating my options, but that's a good thing to do, right? Like taking determinative approaches to things right now is going to be important, right? Like not getting too ahead of the self, right? It's a lot of that type of work that we're energetically seeing. Excellent. 2 ships passing in the night. I like it. Excellent. Yes, those were my readings as well. They took a lot of my light. Continue to recharge, right? It's okay. Like the observation that that's occurring, that occurred is allowing you to heal on a deeper level. So deep. Thank you, Gigi. Doing my best here. And thank you for the follow, Nikki. That's wild. I drew all 4 of those temperance cards this morning in the same position. Oh, that's wild. You should post it over on the disco, Nicole. And Louisiana, thank you for those roses. Yes, turning, yes, you can. Tap to claim. Soulshine, thank you for the follow. The Aries is the me, the opposite of we. Libra, I use both to balance. I like that way that you're perceiving that. That's a great way of seeing it. Trauma does run deep. How you doing today, Avatar? It's just like to preface, it's 3 a.m. in Australia. Oh my God, you always stay online and watch my lives. I deeply appreciate that, dear. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. The roots just stay just to choose to add more roots. I like that. And Shingal, thank you for the follow. I know I love the potato. Thank you for those heart me's, Gigi. I'm holding my light tightly. Tap to claim. 4-4 Fasika. Happy to read for you on that. If you'd like to get on the list, I'll be doing 1 cards for super fans if you want more indication on what that number means for you. They moved on. I'm supporting my own energy and thoughts. Tap to claim. Yes, we're not good growing together. That's okay, right? The realization of that is empowering. I know it is cute, isn't it? Thank you guys for the cute gifts. Oh, I appreciate you too, Unique. Thank you, Chevy, for that beautiful paper crane. No expectations. The energy will play out and you can take action based on what it is. Beautifully stated, Julie. Egos don't allow growing healthy. Well, I mean, it's not like it's not, I need to point this out. It's not the ego's fault. Healthy egos allow things to grow, right? It's when egos are on overdrive, they stagnate things, right? Yep. Thank you, Talisha. Absolutely. I don't know if I'm an Aries, but I don't play. Absolutely. I might have, I'd be curious to see where your Aries placements are. Okay. And thank you, Kahila, for the follow. Oh, thank you as well, Minnie, for receiving these messages. I do my best here, Julie. 10 years, but I did let go of all of our past. Continue to do that work, Jesse. Saturn in Aries. That's like this is, I mean, that's where Saturn is now, but is that where your placement is as well? I did that, and I seen what occurred. The outcome wasn't good. That's okay though, right? Observe, don't absorb. Very interesting. We need that thing. Yeah, that's my lower self. I get people imitating. Oh, really? But like, here's the thing about it. Like, if they want to imitate, like, like, it's like, let them, okay, like, it's weird, right? Thank you as well, Talisha. How are you doing, Bridget? Yep. Excellent. Thank you as well, Avatar. Good to see you. Miranda, Grand Rising, dear. Thank you for confirmation, Jesse. And Unique. Oh, I do my best, Julie. And thank you for the follow. Oh, you have a great day, Jesse. I'll read the list right now, Stella. The list I have right now, the list is closed. We've got Alexandra, Stella, and Nicole. And anyone who gets on the list will be, after that, will be put on for tomorrow. Skywall, thank you for the follow. You posted your dream journal sketch this morning. Oh, in the disco? Is it in the disco? Are we doing a dream reading? 333 now. Tap to claim, Gigi. Excellent. Oh, thank you, Meandering. All right, we're going to get started. First person we're reading for today is Alexandra. Alexandra, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if we're doing a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. I believe, are we doing a dream interpretation? I thought I saw you post a dream interpretation. I just want to confirm. Hi, how are you doing? Excellent. And just a reminder to anyone who has information that's relevant for your reading, you can include in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber only disco channel in the appropriate channels. Hi, dear. It's on the disco, Inside Tea. It's not a dream. Okay, got it. It mentions dreams briefly. I got you. And before we continue right now, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the bear. Thank you for participating. We'll do that again after the next reading. All right. And I'm going to pin up Alexandra here. Guys, make sure to give Alexandra some love. I need a moment to read over this comment before we start the reading. Yeah. Oh, that's some heavy energy, but it's good work. It's good work for this period of time. Can I please get 4 cards? And thank you for being the first person on the list. You'll actually have 5 cards today. Yeah. It's funny because it's coming through there, angelic. Do you know that? Do you know what that word means in Italian? Do you know what that word means in Italian? Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh. Wow. Oh, Lordy Lord. You know, here's the thing about it. And this is, this is why, this is why they're coming to you in the dream space. And I wouldn't be surprised if in the dream space they're a lot kinder. Like they're a lot kinder than they are in real life. That's not them. That's their higher self. Right? That's their higher self talking. That's the, like, it's very easy to shed the ego in the dream space, right? It's very easy to shed the ego in the dream space, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if there was something about the dream that felt very painful, being like, this is nice, right? Because you were someone's wish fulfillment. You were everything somebody claimed they were looking for. They just needed to, and this is why it's coming through as an angelic read from their angelic. All they needed to do was get that pesky ego out of the way, and they could have had everything that they ever claimed that they wanted with you. But they're going, they've got control issues. Look at this. Look at these cards here. Right? This is Emperor with a King of Swords. This is commandeering. This is, I mean, I would go so far as to say this is almost like tyrannical energy, right? This is tyrannical. Like who wants to be in a relationship with a tyrant? Like, it's giving a lot of that. You can't say that you want a beautiful experience with someone and say my way or the highway. Like, we're not doing that. Well, what are we doing that's not something that you want to do? Right? Like this is like it's painful. And I can see like and this is the silly part about it. Um like I want to like and that's why like this is why their angelic is coming through, because often I need to point this out, when your ego is too big, you can't hear your angelic, you know. Like when I read for angelic energy is like I can't get anywhere near them. I can't get anywhere near them because they've surrounded themselves with too much ego. I can't get through to them, right? And so I literally see a situation by which an angelic, you know, I literally see a situation by which an angelic was really hoping, like I feel like they were trying to, like I literally see that you were someone's medicine, you know, like I keep on hearing harmless, and I don't mean harmless. You know what I mean? I don't mean harmless, but you never would have harmed them. You never would have harmed them. You never would have dreamed of harming them. And all they would have had to do was believe that you were too good to be true, right? All and that's how they ruined it. Because when you get your gift, right? When you get your blessing and you say this is too good to be true, you you effectively ruin it, you know? And I keep on seeing this. This is somebody's ego, and also somebody that around them, you know? Like this is saying to me, like with friends like these, who needs enemies kind of energy, you know? Like I see some kind of energy of someone around them being like, oh, you're going soft. Are you going soft on me? You going soft on me? Oh no, I'm not going soft. And so that these two, like let's talk about that weird, like let's talk about that weird energy between them and that person, is what I keep on seeing. You know, like that weird person that always plants a seed of doubt about their counterpart, you know? There's a little bit of that here. So I want to point out like the message is coming through on this, and I can see this, right? I can see why it's painful, because you guys would have been their ideal counterpart. You would have it would have been energetically perfect, but their ego, like like I see this right now. They weren't ready to energetically heal. Um and I feel like I don't know why I keep on getting it. They need to stop. They need to stop putting they need to be I keep on hearing they need to stop their ears in terms of who they're listening to, which is the observation of another person that I keep on hearing tries to diminish someone around them, and then feels satisfied because they've gotten somebody to talk badly about someone that they care about. You know, I keep on hearing there's never just a joke with someone who's looking to provoke a conflict in partnership, is what I keep on hearing. Um, the one thing I will say, I feel like you're having dreams like this because I see that you've got an energetic, you've got a divine counterpart connection coming towards you. And I think you're going to be energetically I think you're going to have to prepare for the fact that there's going to be similarities, right? There's going to be similarities between divine counterpart and this person. But I keep on hearing the messages coming through in between the difference between this person and divine counterpart is I keep on hearing divine counterpart will trust you implicitly. Divine counterpart will trust you implicitly. Which is to say, I don't know why, but I don't know why I keep on getting some kind of investigating vibes. You know, I don't know why I keep on getting someone who had a tendency of hurting their own feelings, like looking for something, like looking for a reason to be hurt, and then not letting go, like building their you wondering, not like looking for a reason to be hurt and then building false conclusions upon things that they were finding, right? Like that is literally that's the overactive ego, right? The overactive imagination in taking something harmless and being like, what's this? And being like, literally nothing, being like, prove it, and being like, I can't prove it's nothing if it's nothing, like that type of energy, right? That I keep on hearing that none of that with healthy counterpart. And I keep on seeing this person gave you a gift. They gave you a gift. They gave you the map. They gave you the map where you're going to find counterpart. So go on that trip. And I know it's going to potentially open up feelings, but keep your eyes open as you do, because I keep on seeing, right? Like their guide is like, it's interesting too, because their angelic guide is issuing an apology here with this. This is how they feel about it. And if you know what this word means in Italian, then you understand why they're saying it. And they're saying, I'm sorry they did that to you, but they gave you the map, is all I keep on hearing. Bottom of the deck on this reading. Yeah. It didn't have to be that way, but it was always going to be that way. Right? And I keep on hearing, remember, when you start moving into connection with that new person, don't let them realizing that you were authentic. Don't let them come back in. Don't let them when they see you, when someone else is singing your praises, is no time for apologies, is what I keep on hearing. When someone else is singing your praises is no time for someone to try to come back with apologies. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. I see you imminently moving into partnership, which is why these dreams are coming through. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And it says the message connected to you as well. It's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. The list is closed, but if you'd like to be on the list for tomorrow, you'll have top priority. I've got Stella and Nicole on the list. I want to ask if either one of you would be available to be moved to the list tomorrow, as I do want to make sure that I have time for one cards right now. Anyone who chooses to be moved to the reading tomorrow will have first privilege in being read for tomorrow. You'll also have an additional card in a reading. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. One moment. Observe, not absorb. I need to get that on a shirt. I said that in your reading. Absolutely. I don't know if you want to do a dream read on that again. They're back. I don't need to know. I mean, it's entirely up to you, dear. It's your reading, so whatever you'd like to read upon, whatever you'd like to read upon, I'm happy to read for. Meandering, thank you for that gift. I also said L. And Adriana, thank you for sharing the live. Some people just can't meet their higher self in this human experience. I know. And that's what's hard, because sometimes the higher self will come through our dream space to say, like, I see what you're trying to do for them. You know, and I feel like that's what's hard. It almost feels like their higher self is coming to you in the dreams to say to you, I want you to understand, I know what you are trying to do. Right? Like the higher self is saying, no hard feelings between us. That was not me. That was their ego. They're too deep in their ego for you to find me. Yeah. The list is closed today, Julia, but if you want to get on tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for. You're welcome, dear. And Miriam, thank you for sharing the live. Always appreciate when you guys share the live. I'm glad. I'm okay. I'm hoping that you're moving into an improvement space, Bridget. Yeah, they had a weak. I don't want to describe it as weak mind. but I see somebody, I see somebody that keeps the wrong energy around them. They're taking the wrong advice. They're taking advice from energy that does not want to see them in union. Right? It's giving me like, it's giving me, I'm your buddy, I'm your pal kind of energy. Nothing's going to get between us. And so there never will be. Yeah. The bar. Yeah. Hey, hold on a minute. So true. You're welcome. Dreams have definitely resurfaced. I like that perspective. They no, I keep on hearing the high, like their angelic was saying they gave, like it couldn't be them, but they gave you the map to find the divine counterpart. Yeah, taking that dream forward, even when it's associated. I know it's going, it's I know it's going to be bittersweet, but it's going to be clear to you. You're going to understand. That reading sounded extremely relevant to mine. Absolutely, and thank you. I appreciate that, Nicole. Todd, the list is closed today, but if you want to get on tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for. We're also going to be doing one cards after the next reading. If you'd like to become a super fan, I can draw one card for you. Yeah, you can absolutely. Stella is the next person on the list, and then we're going to move into one cards. Hold on a minute. Just bear with me. And I'm just pulling up the message. Okay, I just need a moment. So, Joseph, I'm not sure why you're feeling, again, I'm not sure why you're feeling so strongly about being here, but I need to point out that this is a space by which we occupy by choice. So you're welcome to depart if there's something here that's triggering. And thank you guys. We got to 50K. Thank you. Before we continue, we are going to give away that free reading. So I am going to think. There you go, Joseph. You can try the giveaway, and then you don't have to give me anything. Look at that. The problem has resolved itself. I'm thinking of a number right now. I'm thinking of a number right now between, and thank you, Bridget, I appreciate the help. I'm thinking of a number right now between 1 and 31. First person I see that posts a number will get the free reading. First person I see, not the first person that posts it. Sometimes I see things in a different order than you guys post them. Nope. 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 Nikki, congratulations. We will do that again when we get to 100K. And thank you guys so much for participating. And thank you for also participating, Ava. Welcome, Ashraf. Thank you for those explosives, those sparks. All right, I just need a moment to read over the comment that came through in this reading, so bear with me a moment. And remember, after this, we'll get into one cards. Okay. Thank you for letting me know, dear. And again, sending you so much support on this healing journey. Can I please get 4 cards? I mean, if it's any consolation, I see somebody. I see somebody working through. I don't think that there's any question in relationality to the believability of what occurred. Um, I feel like I see somebody that feels some kind of weight in relationality to the uncertainty as to what the expression or the sharing of the information was, is what I keep on seeing. And I keep on getting um, there's and this is often what we can recognize, right? And this is and this is something that we've continued to kind of articulate in terms of helping each other understand the quality by which we tell each other things, is what I see is often the space by which we're able to identify why we feel like it is energetically important to convey it. And I feel like this is, and I feel like I see somebody recognizing a situation by which you yourself are going through the waves. You're still going through the waves of energetic trauma, right? And how can we identify that you're potentially still going through the waves of trauma? Because, right, you effectively, you opened up and then you drew back, right? Like you energetically shared something and then you made it impossible for another person to energetically reach out to you. So it's entirely possible that in the context of doing that, you may have inadvertently traumatized this person with the information, because in the space by which, right, the space by which you gave them something which potentially surprised or shocked them, and then them then feeling the expansiveness of what was shared and trying to reach out to you. But then instead of being able to reach out to you, you effectively blocked their ability to communicate with you. So you have to think in a way, what you basically gave them was a truth, BOMB, right? They feel like you planted a truth, BOMB, in their experience, which is the space by which you gave them something. And then when they tried to pursue inquiry as to why, you weren't energetically available, right? You weren't energetically available to them to get that information. Now I want you to remember the level of trauma that you identified happened to you in the experience by which you were hurt, which is the space by which another person was deeply intimate with you, right? They shared something and then they energetically closed the door on you, right? The thing we have to be wary about when it comes to healing trauma is making sure that we're still not replicating the circumstances by which we experience the trauma. So that the space by which, right, the space by which you're still working through the trauma is the space by which inadvertently you replicated the trauma that you experienced via V connecting to that person, but then pulling back, right? And this is something that we understand. Like the hard part about it is that our trauma often shapes our responses to things. So the observation, right? The observation of understanding, and we can even see that you recognized, right? Time passed, and you recognized that that was something that you wanted to energetically explain, right? The fact that you said, I felt traumatized in the fact that I was too vulnerable with you. But the thing is, because right? Because you created that blockage, and you know this to be true, right? The space by which we like the space by which we share and then we're not there can sometimes create trauma in others. So it's okay. I see like this is a modality by which it's okay to recognize that you may have inadvertently traumatized someone in the context by which you went about sharing the information. And the trauma was not necessarily expressed in the sharing of the information, right? They might have been perfectly okay with that, nor was it would have been traumatizing if you hadn't, but it was the condition or quality by which you effectively expressed something. You were vulnerable to someone, and then you effectively disappeared from them, right? Which potentially put them in the space by which they themselves felt vulnerable and created anxiety, because it potentially created a lot of confusion and trauma for them to be delivered something, right? And not having a way to ask questions about it or to speak to you upon it. So the one thing that I see, like this is how I see somebody carrying it, right? I see somebody navigating the fact that they hold, I keep on hearing, they hold you with a lot of care, but they also feel energetically hurt by you, right? I keep on hearing, they're holding that care in two hands. In one hand, I see that the care that they express for you in terms of wishing that something did not occur. But in the other space, the space by which they themselves were potentially hurt in the way that you chose to energetically express it. So I see somebody that's navigating equal, like I see somebody who has nothing but love for you, right? I see someone who definitely articulates upon the fact like these cards are beautiful, like they understand, right? They understand the nature of the full for, like this is why I see that they energetically believe you, right? Because they can see, like they can see the full force by which you experienced it in the space by which they themselves experience something like not necessarily not the same, right? But feeling that same space of being hurt because, right, I keep on seeing they don't hold it against you because they see that reactivity point is you still working through the waves of trauma in the space by which you're potentially inadvertently replicating the situation in their experience as it relates to them feeling, right, them feeling hurt or confused in the space by which you gave them something, right? You shoved something into their hands energetically and then you ran away, right? You are nowhere to be found. Bottom of the deck on this reading, it's hard, right? I can see the fact, right? And I need to point this out. If there's something about that situation by which you say, I would never do that again, right? And here's the thing about it, when we say not doing that again, right? It's not about not revealing something or not about not revealing it. It's being consistent and intentional as we move towards direction, because trauma, right, trauma, the way we traumatize each other is when we have confusing directions, right? The space by which we articulate something, right, and then we pull it back upon it, right? It's the confusion that we experience within that often hurts those without. So understanding, right, the space by which you understand at the moment it felt necessary and then you were mortified by it is potentially also giving you indications on how that other person felt in the space by which they traumatized you. And that's the hard part about it. Nobody wakes up, like most people do not wake up and go, I wonder who I could hurt today, right? But it's the observation of us being intentional and directional as it relates to what we put our effort towards that allows us to be able to energetically make sure that we're navigating spaces not just from the space of how we feel, but how we're helping how others feel as they're energetically receiving things. So I see that for a lot of like that ability, right? Like the observation that you articulated saying like I want to explain I feel like it's someone who doesn't need explanation. They understand, right? But I feel like in a certain extent, it's like they understand, but they feel that sense of potentially wanting to keep distance because they themselves were potentially also traumatized in the way that you chose the way that you chose to convey the information to them. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, dear. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings. The list is now closed, but if you'd like to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for, the second person read for, and you'll also have priority. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. And thank you guys for supporting each other during these readings. I know that there's a lot of emotions that come up, but we do this work so we can continue to heal. And thank you so much, Kelly, for the follow. Good job, Nikki. It's been years. Well, congratulations. And I'm so glad that you were able to win that. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, I guess now I have a free one. How are you doing today? I feel like Dada always does all the tapping and never even guesses. Thank you, Dada, because Dada's amazing. I know, I'm always surprised Dada doesn't guess. Yeah, it's crazy. I did the same. I shared and I closed the door. But here's the thing about it, right? Like I said, that when we work through trauma, we sometimes don't recognize that we're replicating the trauma. So the observation of being able to see it is how you can effectively continue to heal it. But you could not do it otherwise. So the understanding, but I didn't. But you didn't. Again, you see the motion by which you're working through, right? Like the space by which we aren't just momentary, but we're effectively purpose driven and directional, being able to articulate to each other, like not just what we convey, but when we feel stable in what we're conveying, so that we don't create the space of another person experiencing confusion when they try to get clarity and we're not there. Charm. Because like what we articulated, right? The space by which they had to go through their own energetic recovery with you not being energetically available at the time that they needed you to be, right? Like they themselves are working through the trauma of an experience by which they felt, right? They also felt the confusion and hurt in terms of wondering what they did that caused you to express something and then energetically not be available for them to get clarity upon it. You're welcome, dear. They are beautiful cards because this is continuing. You're so welcome, dear. And I hope those messages helped. You're so welcome. And thank you guys for supporting each other in the comments. And Jen, thank you for the follow. Oh, you guys are the best. Dada, you are amazing. You are far beyond helpful. You are cherished and valued here. And thank you for being you. My friends, we are going to get into one card readings for super fans. If you are a super fan who would like a card pulled, you can go ahead and put your question in the comments. If you are a member over on the place where we keep the videos, you are also eligible for a one card right now. And if you drop a heart me, you will also have an animal spirit guide card on top of your one card. Bridget, one card in relationality to divine counterpart, please. Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I see someone returning to an old hobby. Yeah, like they need a hobby, man. They're done. I told you, I feel like the energy said that they were retiring on something. They're like, I can't do this. I'm crawling, like they're crawling out of their skin. They need to, they wouldn't know how to relax. You know, they wouldn't know how, like they wouldn't know how to relax if relax like bit them on the leg is what I'm getting. Is what I keep on seeing. Yep. One card, please, on career for Minnie. You got two cards coming out. This is saying it's a good expansion point for you. I don't know why. I feel like you're going through a little bit of downtime right now, occupationally, that's allowing you to put your effort in some new projects. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, like there is no downtime. Like when we're productive, right? There's always time to play catch up on things. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, it's giving me a lot of thank you for your patience kind of energy, right? Making sure, taking time right now to prioritize or to work on those lists in relationality to what the priority is. One card regarding connection for Chrissy, please. I see someone taking new approaches to things. I see somebody trying to make new friendships. You know? Yeah, like for the first time in for the first time in years is what I'm getting. I don't know if this is someone who usually used to keep like a tight old inner circle, you know? Yeah, like salmon, like they're stepping out of their comfort zone. They're focusing, I keep on seeing like they're focusing on new friendship. One moment, please. Yep. Two cards on the potential trip up this weekend, please. It's go. Like I keep on getting like it's funny too because I've got a guide saying, "Don't you dare, don't you dare." It's gonna be healing. I know it's. I keep on hearing like I know it's hard, but it's gonna be healing. This is you reclaiming something for yourself. You know, it's a reclamation trip, right? Saying to someone like almost saying to the self, I'm not gonna let a connection to something I love be over. Like I keep on hearing, be overcast because of another person's shadow. You know, it's reclamation. Ella, going back, maybe I missed it. I apologize if it jumped. I got you, Ella. Ooh, one card from them regarding them. What do they see? They worry about their hypersensitivity. Um, you know, here's the thing about it. When you're hypersensitivity is a gift or a detriment depending on how we effectively confront it is what I keep on seeing. And I don't know why, but I feel like they're articulating the fact that that person like carries a lot more anxiety that you do than you do around things. Um, yeah, they see you like sensitivity and bravery need to be best friends, right? The difference between sensitivity and bravery is what's happening versus there's a disturbance in the force. It is like literally the best way I can describe what another person is trying to convey to me, if that makes sense, right? Like it has to do with like it has to do with our own sense of like observation, right? Rather than excitation is what I keep on hearing. They carry it more in excitation than observation. I don't know why they keep on saying two sides of the same coin. You know, I'm doing well, Isra. How are you doing? If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, please feel free to correct me. Ava, one card. Oh, on the painting. Interesting, isn't it? You've seen it before. It used to hang behind your door. I think I know what painting it is. All right, yeah, it's. I mean, I would do a little bit. I would do a little introspection. That's the fun thing about paintings. You can figure out where they used to be, right? Location, location, location. Does it ring a bell? Follow the string. All right. Excellent. Yeah, you're both. No, they're not. They're done relaxing. They're done. I keep wondering the retirement's over. I love that movie. Absolutely. It's interesting too, because I know you asked for two cards, Alexandra. I'm going to give you another one here. Yeah, it's a reclamation. Again, don't let your reservation stop you. It's going to be, it's like, the only way out is through. Okay. You're welcome, Minnie. You're welcome, Chrissy. Thank you divinely for the follow. Yeah, exactly, Bridget. Ivana, one card, please. Highest version, highest self. I feel like they're saying this is a really important time for you right now, is what I keep on hearing. It's bittersweet, but I keep on hearing it's bittersweet because it's clearing. And I think it's clearing specifically as it relates to new energetic connections, like helping. I feel like I see you going through a lot of transformation and recognizing who can come with you versus like who like can't who can't like who can't stay close to you as you continue your healing journey. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, I don't know when your last Saturn return was, but I feel like this is you coming into the space of loving yourself more, right? Loving yourself more will show you those who adore you versus those who, right? Like I just keep on hearing, loving yourself more will show you those who adore you because they'll love it on you. I want to go down to, yep. That you see, that's what I said. Like, again, you've got an angelic guide that says like no buts. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, exactly, Dada. That makes sense. You're welcome. Yep. And thank you, Kitty, for the follow. Hi, please, for Nikki. Um, it's saying Seven of Pentacles in its reversal, right? Working through, I keep wondering, like working through what's productive and not letting frustration move you backwards. Yeah. Don't be reactive. If it's a good idea now, it's a good idea later. The way we can tell whether it's a good idea is sitting on it for a minute. Animal spirit, ooh, animal spirit guide, the salmon energy. And that's what I said. Like, again, like, don't do something emotional because it feels good. Feels good is good. It is good, and it moves something in the positive direction. I believe I know. Yep, I know that painting, but I'm gonna definitely look it up after this. You should post it in the disco, Ava. Hi, you're so welcome, dear. Hold on a minute. You're welcome. I'm glad you got some rest, dear. One card for good vibes. Highest priority in love right now. You don't need to prove love to anybody, right? Just state your purpose, and energy that's in aligned with you is going to find that purpose sublime. Yeah, Page of Cups. No convincing in relationality to your manifestation goals, right? You see all these cards that flew out. It's either a full yes, not an uncertain no. Yeah, especially the swan energy, right? Working through something in a way that you're able to identify what's possible. And Jafet, thank you for sharing the live. Kitty, these are one card readings for super fans. If you'd like to become a super fan, I'm happy to draw a card for you. Yep, you're welcome, dear. All right, my friends, we are ending a little bit earlier today, but if you missed the Daily Collective, it will be up later. It's actually up currently over on the Stack. I will be back on tomorrow at our standard time, 7:15 a.m. PST, 10:15 a.m. Eastern. If you'd like to be notified as to when I've gone live, you can head over to my profile. There's a bell there on the clock app. Navigating like that activating the bell will turn on notifications. You can also register directly for the event tomorrow. If you get on the list today, you'll have first privilege in reading tomorrow, which means you'll be read for before the Daily Collective begins. Nicole, you have current first privilege, so you'll be the first person on the list tomorrow. Thank you for your patience. I want to thank you. If you just became a super fan today, welcome. Please message me a disco GIF, and I will send you an invite to our subscriber-only disco channel. In the perks section, you will find a coupon code to our next class subscription class, and our class subscription program. Our next class is going to be Thursday, March 19th. We'll be studying the court cards in the cup suit. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here today and receiving these. Oh, Nikki. No, Nikki, Nicole, you don't get 2 cards. You get a free reading. No, you get a free reading tomorrow. You won the highest gifter. Yeah. No, you don't get 2 cards. You get 1 card today, and you get your 1 card today, and you get a free reading tomorrow. Let's be clear. But you got your 1 card though, right? Yeah, if you want a 1 card, Nicole, you won the highest gifter today. Yeah. Yeah. Nikki, okay, yeah. Yeah, Alexander got 2 cards. Nicole, you got the full reading. No, it's okay. Sorry, I know we got double. I'm sorry, Nicole. I apologize. Yes. So can you repeat your question for your 1 card, please? And we'll get that to you now. Yep. It's entirely possible I accidentally called you Nikki, and if so, I deeply apologize. All right, so Nicole, where were we? What was your question again, dear? 1 card. Oh, okay. So I cannot do anything from a legal perspective. But I will give you information in relationality to a circumstance or situation. Um, it feels like I want to describe this like it feels like a process that's slowed down. So I want you to be patient, and I don't want you to get frustrated about it, right? I keep on hearing, unfortunately, these things take time. So I keep on hearing, don't get frustrated. Just be consistent. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, especially I keep on hearing time works in your favor when it allows you to learn more things, is all I keep on hearing. Thank you, dear. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Again, we will be back on tomorrow at our usual time. Nicole, you have a full reading coming to you tomorrow, and you're the first person on the list. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here and receiving these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. And the biggest thank you to my mods. I hope you guys have an absolutely beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And we'll do this again tomorrow. Have a great day, everyone.